In the 6th round of the Spanish League, team CA Solvay took on Andreu Paterna. Now these names don't really ring a bell, but Solvay has Gukesh and Andreu Paterna has Nihal. On board number 2, they both clashed against each other, and that was an exciting matchup. Let's have a look at the game. Nihal had the white pieces, Gukesh was black. It started off with d4, Nihal playing that, knight f6, knight f3, d5, and everyone expected Nihal to go for his bishop f4 or start with c3 and then the London system. But Nihal played c4, Queen's Gambit declined by Gukesh, e6, knight to c3, bishop b4, we have the Ragozin on the board, and then came the move bishop to g5. This is something which Nihal in the Olympiad, I think Nihal went queen a4 against Aronian, but here he went for bishop g5. That shows the variety of ideas they have up their sleeve. h6, and now he took bishop takes, queen takes, e3, very mainline stuff here, castles, rook c1, and generally black is able to equalize here with this next maneuver. Take on c4, bishop c4, it looks like white has a good position, but black has the bishop pair, don't forget, and now he strikes in the center with the move c5. Very important move, because with c5 he is now hitting the center. Nihal now took dc5, although the main move is castles here, he took, and now played knight d7 by Gukesh. So bishop takes c5 is one of the main moves, but knight d7 was played to take it with the knight. And yes, it's possible to push the pawn. This is always possible to sort of spoil the structure. But white played castles, knight to c5, and here he played the move knight b5. So things get a little heated up now, with this knight actually looking at d6, c7, and the ideas of a3, b4 coming up. It looks like Gukesh has to play very accurately, and also till this bishop is not developed, black is in some trouble. Rook d8, the queen moved to c2, and now came the move a6. Very good move. By the way, queen c2 is a sort of a new move played by Nihal. Queen e2 has been played by Rajabo against Vishy Anand in online play, and the games had continued bishop a5, a3, knight e4, bishop d3, and eventually the game had ended in a draw. So queen c2, and I like how Nihal plays this. a6, he comes back with his knight to d4. Now a3, b4 is coming up, bishop a5. Please excuse me for the noise, some work is going on upstairs. Bishop a5, bishop e2. You will see that the knight on c5 is little loose, but where do you move your bishop? If you take on a6 or e6, then the knight will jump back. So that's the reason why he played bishop e2, bishop b6, good move by Gukesh, b4, knight d7, and now came the move knight b3. So the knight is well positioned here. Maybe you want to go a3 next, just solidify the position. This bishop is not coming out. It looks slightly more pleasant for white. Queen e7, attacking the pawn on b4. He played a3, knight f6, knight to e5, played in the position, and now bishop d7. So generally what black does is black tries to put his bishop here, rook here. So as white, what would you play here? Try to think. Yes, you must take this bishop off so that black doesn't keep the bishop pair advantage. Also remember, the bishop could have come to a4, which could be very, very pesky there. So takes, and now rook fd1 was played. Although if we think about this position, white seems to have a small edge and should have tried for bishop f3, keeping the pressure on that diagonal. And if now knight d5, trying to block that thing, then maybe you can think about rook fd1. But you must be careful which rook. For example, if you play rook fd1 here, then knight e3 is already a beautiful strike, because takes, bishop takes check, and you lose the rook. And then black has two pawns and a rook for two minor pieces. Instead, maybe rook c d1 makes a lot more sense in the position. Okay, so rook d1 was played, knight d5 by Gukesh, rook d3 so as to take control of the c3 square, rook c7, queen d2, rook c8, maybe a5 by Gukesh to get some active play there, but he played this, takes, bishop f3, knight f6, and now the typical Nihal Sarin move, g3. Love this move. The idea is to just create a square luft for the king, knight d7, and rook c3, good move, knight e5. And at this point, I think if Nihal went bishop g2, takes, he would be pressing really hard here. Of course, Gukesh might not take, maybe he goes knight c4, but after queen c1, I think white is definitely slightly better here. Gukesh might very well hold this, but still, I mean, it's white who is putting pressure with this bishop on the long diagonal and knight well placed to jump on these squares. But bishop e2 was played, queen d7, take, knight takes, and now Nihal just took and played his knight to c5 and offered a draw, which Gukesh accepted. I think the game could have continued after takes, bishop d8, bishop f3, bishop e7, take, and they have exchanged everything and ends in a draw. So good fight between both the players. Very good result for Nihal, I would say, not because a draw with Gukesh is good, but because his team won the match 3.5, 2.5. This means that right now Gukesh's team, which was leading since the tournament, since the start, is now joined by other teams at 9 points, and today is the final round, so a lot at stake at the Spanish League. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. It was a very important game between two of the brightest stars of Indian chess, and so we covered it over here. See you.